Well, I know you are, but what am I?
A garbage man.
Oh, I know you are, but what am I?
A garbage man.
I know you are, but what am I?
A garbage man.
Takes one to know one.
Checkmate!
Hi guys, welcome back. Do you ever feel like that clip when you're talking to a Christian or really anyone that you disagree with? I made a video last week, which I'll link above, about why facts, figures, evidence don't matter to Christians. I was talking about our descent into Christian fundamentalism and the rise of anti-science sentiment. And so it got me thinking, well, what does work? If facts and figures don't work and evidence won't convince a Christian to think any other way, what works? So let's discuss. So the first thing that I'm going to say is that facts and evidence do work. Now, wait a minute. Didn't I just say that facts and evidence don't work with Christians or anyone else you're talking to? Yes and no. Here's the thing. When you're presenting facts and evidence to someone who has a completely differing opinion than you, and they're just completely entrenched in that, the facts, the evidence doesn't work immediately. Don't think you're going to win the argument right then and there. That's not how that works. But it plants seeds and it plants doubts. And here's what I used to do. I would hear these things, the earth is millions of years old, or something that, or that Jesus wasn't real. And I would, that isn't true. I would get all defensive and you couldn't tell me anything. But then I would run to my pastor or Answers in Genesis where I could be soothed over. But then when I would start thinking about it further, for instance, let's take the slavery question. And of course, that's always just a contentious thing. And no one in 2025 wants to be pro-slavery. Well, except for a few people, but normal people, 99% of us don't want anything to do with that or pretend that it's good. And so you'll go to Answers in Genesis where they talk about how the people were enslaved, but it brought them into knowing God. And, that was then and this is now. And it soothes you over for a minute. But if you have just even average intelligence, you start realizing, no, that still doesn't make any sense, because an all-powerful God could just have said, do not own other people. You can't make other people work for you for free forever, because that's immoral. You have to pay people. They have to be their own person. And so it works in the long run. So don't be afraid to give facts and evidence. But there's a caveat there, and that leads to my second point. My second point is, instead of lecturing, which never works, ask open-ended questions so that you can find some common ground. Don't ask these gotcha questions, because most Christians are onto that by now. Okay, so you don't need to ask, do you think slavery was ever moral, so that you can rip out your Bible and open to Leviticus 25, 44 through 46 and start showing them what's in the Bible and making them feel defensive. Ask open-ended questions so that you can find out, where are they coming from? Maybe they're Catholic and you grew up with a Catholic best friend. Or maybe you'll find out you're both were Baptists or are Baptists. Find some middle ground there by asking open-ended questions. Don't ask, are you going to heaven when you die? Is that what you think is happening? No, ask, why do you think you're going to heaven, but the vast majority of people that have ever lived are going to burn in hell forever? Why? Why do you think that? And let them talk. Just let them talk. And that leads me to my third point. All right, here's number 3. You have to listen. You have to listen. I used to watch a lot of the call-in shows where the Christian would call and debate, Matt Dillahunty and various others. And I don't watch those anymore because so many of the hosts will not let the Christian talk. No matter how ludicrous it is, they will butt in over the most minute things. And it's not that I don't like Matt Dillahunty or many of the others. I do like them, but they get so caught up. And instead of staying calm, which is another thing, please stay calm. The calmer person always wins. The person that gets heated, angry, and starts yelling is the person who loses. So don't be that person. Ask the open-ended question and then listen and keep your mouth shut. It's so frustrating to me when I listen to these call-in shows because I want to hear what the Christian has to say, even though I know it's going to be freaking ludicrous. I know that, but I want to hear what they have to say without the constant interruption, the constant butting in. Why? Why do you want to do that, even though it's just so obscene, so many of the things they say? Number one, you want them to listen to you too, right? If you want to be listened to, you need to listen to them. And the other thing is the more they talk, the more ammunition you're going to have. Okay. So you just let them talk. You let them hang themselves, right? You let them hear in their own mind. They're hanging themselves the more they talk. So that's what you need to do. Just listen. Now, here's something that you need to realize is that people buy with their emotions and they use reason to back up their decision. That's an old copywriting tactic. You get people with emotion. Think about it. Nobody needs the most expensive Mercedes-Benz sedan. You could buy a 5-year-old Honda Civic that will just as easily and probably more affordably get you from point A to point B. But that Mercedes-Benz makes you feel some kind of way, doesn't it? It makes you feel special. It makes you feel elevated. It makes you feel like you're somebody. And then by buying that Mercedes-Benz, you back it up with, well, they have a 10-year warranty and it's solid. If I get in an accident, I'm not going to get as hurt as bad if I was in some kind of little Honda Civic. So you buy with emotion and you back up that decision with reasoning. And so you need to do the same thing when you're talking to people. Understand that being a Christian and being in that in-group makes them feel like they're riding in that Mercedes-Benz and you're wanting them to trade down to the Honda Civic. And so that's a very tough thing to do. But your job is to make that Honda Civic seem better. So you have a very uphill battle. You do. But once you understand that it's not the facts that make their decision, it's emotion. It's that emotion. So realize you're asking them to give up that Mercedes-Benz and you have to have some very, very good reasons why and connect with that. And number 5, you need to connect with their values. And I'm not saying their values from the Bible. I'm saying once you've listened to them and you understand the emotions and you know where they're coming from, find out what their values are. Do they value fairness? Or are they somebody that really values fairness? Then talk about justice. Talk about God's justice. Talk about secular justice and how they're different. Okay, so this is what you want to do. Are they really concerned with security? Are they afraid of going to hell? They want that security that when they die, they're going to heaven and see their mom and dad. Okay, you have to understand that they're more concerned with security than they really are with going to hell. Now, one thing that really got me is I used to be so sad that so many of my friends and my grandparents who weren't Christians, that I wasn't going to see them in heaven. They were going to hell. But once I became an atheist, and security is important to me, I'm someone whose security is important, I realized that I don't have to worry about anyone going to hell, that no one's going to burn. I don't know what happens to us after we die. I assume we just die, but I don't really know, but I do know. And I can feel secure now knowing that my loved ones aren't burning in hell. And that makes me feel good. That makes me feel really good. So that's all I have today. But I want to introduce you to my little baby. This is Poppy, and he was recently diagnosed with terminal heart disease. So I feel a little sad about that. I have a picture of him over here. that my son gave to me. He had that painted. So I think it's a pretty good likeness, right? I'm a big animal lover. So I changed my background because I want you to know a little bit more about me, and I am just such an animal lover. And if you are too, just let me know. So that's all I have for today, and I will see you next time. Say bye to Pops.